I was fortunate to be part of a breakfast show where we had to review the papers every day. And all of a sudden, you are now really focused on issues around what is happening in governance and politics. And I think it has really transformed my life, you know, because again, now I see a lot of things and I know where the problem is. You have a very critical and unique opportunity because again, when voters go to the polls, all they are thinking of is governor and president. And they forget that the people that make these people's job, whether good or bad, are the people that are the lawmakers. And in your instance is on the state level where you're running to the House of Assembly. So in case people do not know, let me reintroduce our guests. All right, so Honorable Olumide Owuru is the Labour Party candidate for the Lagos State House of Assembly, Surulere Constituency 1. As a public figure and an actor, he believes in accessible leadership and youth inclusion and strives for betterment of the Surulere constituency. He attended King's College and the University of Lagos and graduated from Babcock University. So, let us officially welcome him again to the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
You.
So, I mean, as I said, it's a critical role that you're going into. And I think one of the major routes that people had was that, where did this one just come from? Right. You know, because all of a sudden it was like, okay, Labour Party won in Lagos and, you know, there's a wave of Peter Obi. Everybody's, you know, all the youth are, you know, trying to support him and all of that. And it's like you're trying to just, you know, ride on that wave, right? Maybe you should help us understand, first of all, why you decided to run and, you know, what exactly is, if you say you have certain issues in Surulere that made you to come out, what would that problem be? That's why you're coming out.
Right. So the main reason why I decided to run is I recognize that we are in a very significant period in Nigerian history. This is the first time that the youth have had a mass awakening in terms of wanting to be politically aware and participate in the government process. Now, it's always something that I thought I would be doing, but I just thought it would be more later on. Yeah, so my friends and I would joke around and say, okay, maybe when we're 35, we'll join a party. Then around 40, we'll say maybe 42, you know, we'll contest and all of that. But the happenings in recent time have really just suggested that tomorrow isn't promised. I've lost people really close to me. You know, my best friend passed 2 years ago, and the period before he passed, the week before he passed, this was towards the end of 2021 in November. We had just talked about our plans for 2022, and we had done a whole breakdown. Okay, January I'm going to do this up until December. He's a music producer, so he had given me his rollout plan for the year, and he passes the very next week. So I'm like, if we want to make impact and we're planning for the next, you know, 10, 15 years, what's the guarantee that we are going to be here in the next 10 or 15 years? So we need to start now. That's one. Number two, I also recognize my influence as a young individual in Nigeria today. And I understand that by just virtue of running for office, it will go a long way to inspire a lot of young Nigerians to also aspire to be in these positions. So it's bigger than just me. This is really me trying to be the voice of young people, trying to encourage other young people that we cannot be passive anymore. The policies that are being put in place now are going to affect us directly. We no longer have the canopy or the covering of mommy and daddy helping out. I remember back in the day, I would just go to my parents, I need XYZ. How they get the money, don't really care. I just need it by 4 p.m. today. And if they don't give me by 4, problem. But now I'm understanding as I'm getting older that there's a lot that goes into getting money, especially in Nigeria. It's not the easiest to make money. So whatever policies are in place now are affecting us. If the exchange rate goes up and Naira is $1 to 2,000 Naira, that's affecting my buying power. I want to buy something online, I'm going to be spending way much more. So that's the reason why I really decided to change, to run, because I feel, actually, I know that as young people, we have innovative ideas. We have more modern ideas in terms of problem solving. And the reason why Nigeria has been going around in circles is we've been recycling the same leaders with the same ideas and the same ideologies. So why not balance their experience with our problem-solving skills more in line with what's going on now? It's 2023. There's advances in technology. The tech space is doing amazing. We are more connected. There's social media. So our angle to politics cannot be the same as their angle. So we can definitely collaborate and make things better. As regards Surulere, I grew up in Surulere. I've spent all of my life so far in Surulere. And I know that I have turned out how I have turned out because of the things I've been exposed to in terms of people I've met, people I've worked with, schools that I've gone to, and things like that. So I look around Surulere and I see that there's so much potential because there's people that are, even with the situation in Surulere, trying to make things for themselves. You talk to the average person in Surulere, and average person in Surulere is very optimistic, very hopeful. But there's not that much of recent in terms of any aid or any active help for people in Surulere. You look at the schools in Surulere, you look at the students on their way to school, and they don't really look excited to be going to school. They don't even look like they're going to school. Even just their general approach to attending school and their general demeanor and conduct, how their uniforms are worn, that just shows that there's a lot that we need to do, even mentally, to really just change the mindsets of young people in Surulere. And because I'm young, a lot of what I'm trying to do is to try and nip the problem in the bud early, because a lot of the things that we have wrong in Surulere, I believe, are mental in terms of our outlook to life. You see some of the people on the road, I don't like to refer to them as thugs or area boys. I think they are victims of circumstance, because that could easily have been me. I didn't pick my family. I didn't pick the circumstances I was born in. And you talk to them, and a lot of them are not very happy about what they have to do. Sometimes they even do these things reluctantly, but they feel like they need to do it to survive, because the system in place right now is built on them getting handouts to live. So I'm looking at Surulere from a more holistic point and seeing if we work on building human capital development, if we work on making the amenities in Surulere work, even things down to street lights. If Surulere is lit, that could go along with even reducing the crime rates. You have better academic setups in school, better trainings, creating mentorship programs where young people can see people that have come from Surulere and have gone on to make amazing things. So we know it is possible regardless of the situation around you. These are some of the reasons why I'm running for office, because there's so many times people, you go to National Stadium, there's people on their own time, on their own money, working out every day, training, but they never really get scouted, or that never really goes anywhere. So imagine all the jobs we could create, all the opportunities we could create with having a better structure to help people nurture their natural talents, and also create a situation where things that are positive are made appealing. So even people that had no idea that they wanted to go into coding, for example, you present it in a way that's interesting and eye-catching, and young people want to hop on that. As opposed to just say, okay, we're building schools and we're buying laptops and all these other things that we're seeing. But even with all these things that have happened, if you really look at it, you don't really see the impact. So we need to just have a change in government. Also, just access to leadership. You don't really have forums where, state leader or local government chairman is actively trying to engage with the people. Government isn't attractive, especially to young people. A lot of us just think it's very boring, and whatever they want to do is what they will do.
Absolutely.
And it's not for me. And that's what really, really needs to change, especially if we're talking about where Nigeria is going in the future. We have to start now.
Surulere.
Okay, I mean, you said quite a whole lot, and they all sound really pretty. I mean, but I also think that you're speaking about this. What I hear you say is a lot of is more geared towards empowerment. However, the position that you're going for is more about policies.
Of course.
You understand?
Of course.
So it's not the empowerment is, I mean, every day people come, even private sector, people are always doing things. That's the truth. But is this sustainable? I would feel that where we should get to is where there are laws there are policies that make these things binding. It's not so much as
so whether you are there
exactly
tomorrow
or not, it becomes the standard.
It becomes law.
It becomes the law. So it's not about handout. You're not waiting for some private public partnership, or it is a standard. So you know that, okay, if you come into this constituency, this is how it goes.
Of course.
And then, of course, again, there is government in continuum. So another person who comes, because it is not sentimental, it is not there's a word, it's not sensational. It becomes easy, to be sustainable. And everybody would now agree to say, oh, no, you can't do anything outside of this is the standard. Anything else you do. So I'm hoping that today, being here, you're able to say that, okay, when you get into that position as a policy maker, I mean, this is what drives you concerning education, concerning health, concerning MSMEs, concerning general living.
Well, if I had actually noted that I was going to ask that, if you had prepared, policies that you, what's it called? You have policies that you intend to propose in the House, that would help with all the things that Diola has listed in Surulere constituency. I mean, if you don't mind to share those with us.
Okay, of course. I fully do understand at the end of the day it is a legislative position, but just because, again, I'm not sure how long some of these policies will take in terms of implementation, because again, it also depends on, the numbers in the House, majority, minority, and all of that. So in the more immediate, there are things that, we can do as constituency projects to at least kickstart the change that we want. And because I am fully youth-centered as well, I feel like there's some things that we need to start doing immediately, especially if we're trying to catch them young. But also in terms of policies, I'm very particular about education. I'm a direct recipient of a good education. And I even spend time just going around, on this campaign train, just really trying to understand what the people actually want and need, as opposed to preferring solutions that I think are the way forward. For example, when we're talking about small businesses, I went to a couple of marketplaces and I had certain conversations with some of the market women, and they really did speak on, when you mentioned the double taxation, that they are paying a lot of taxes and levies, and they don't really see where these monies are going, and even to the point where some tribes feel like they are even being extorted basically, just because their counterparts from other parts of the country don't really have to pay certain amounts and things like that. So there definitely will be a focus on education, on small businesses. We also need to make the amenities work. I remember there was a time where the street lights were up and running. I would be driving home and I would be happy I'm getting Sule, and now you get to Sule and it's dark.
Sorry, what part of Sule do you live? If you can say
I don't know if I can say that right now.
Okay, let's take a very short break. I'd like to open our phone lines. Right, I'd like to open our phone lines, then I will come to you and then stay with us.
It is engagement we need to have.
Those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly are also influence peddlers.
You are sitting on Nigerians' money.
From the Babin, I pay my rent. On the Babin, I send my children to school.
A consultative engagement.
No any tangible notification before they ban us.
It's one thing for people to be at your back and the heat of the moment, and another thing for them to still be with you when push comes to shove.
All right, thanks for staying with us. Now, if you just tuned in, we are discussing the race to the House of Assembly, and we have with us Olumide Oworu. Please, let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-4663. You can also tweet at us at PlusTvAfrica1 with the hashtag WayShow. Now, our phone line is now open. It's already ringing. Number to call is 0. Please don't insult our guest, you. I beg you. 07025007749. That's the number to call. Be very civil with your contribution, and let's have a great conversation. Please turn off the volume of your whatever you're watching us, the device, so we don't have a feedback. NJ, quickly.
Well, I have several questions.
Please make it short.
But I'm going to just make it short, and maybe while you're answering, you just summarize.
Right.
One thing I want to know: why you moved. Why you got into politics? Mm-hmm. You were an actor. Mm-hmm. You are an actor. Mm-hmm. So what encouraged you to go into politics? Aside, because on a daily, we all have different things that we do, and we see the country, we leave the situations, but not all of us are even members of the party.
Okay, so hold that question. Our first caller from Gombe, Obinna, you're live. Hello.
Okay.
Good evening.
I'm with you.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, go ahead, you're live.
My greetings to all of you in the studio.
Hi.
Good evening.
Especially to the obedient in the house.
Good evening.
Thank you so much. I'm lucky to be the first person to call you this evening. My question is to the guests, please. The slogan of Labour Party is "Take back your country and a new Nigeria." And I've carefully listened to you about what and some certain things you want to do for your constituency. But I want to ask you, please, because if you do not know where things go wrong, you will not know where to correct it. Have you sit down and get some loopholes, areas where Lagos State is getting it wrong, especially in the education system of Lagos State? Now, coming down to your constituency, my question is, do Lagos State government have any social intervention on students of Lagos State? And how are you going to fully involve your constituency in that program? Number two, I'm always going to ask you, please, before you go there, do you have any plan or do you have already bills in your mind that can address drainage system or failures in Lagos State as it is today? These are my questions.
Thank you.
And I know you completely do that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So
Right.
you have bills, have you identified the problem, and where do you think Lagos State is getting it wrong?
At the end of the day, that is the reason why there is the House of Assembly. And that is why we're all representing different constituencies. The entire point is for people who know these constituencies and have experience with these constituencies to come together, table what the issues are, and figure out the best way to solve these issues. I also know that different areas will require some different type of techniques in some situations, depending on what it is that we're trying to achieve. So it is very important that as House members, we all work together for those who are opportune and, mandated by the people to represent them at that level. With that being said, something on waste management. That is one of the issues that, is faced in Lagos generally, which you can relate to drains being blocked and, people sand filling certain areas where should be the natural path for water to flow through. So what we need to do is find a way to have, and this is one of the things that GRV has on his agenda as well, is have wetland protection. So there's certain areas where you cannot be constructing to interfere with the flow of water. Another thing we need to do is incorporate the private sector into waste disposal. because there's certain areas.
You are looking for trouble.
No.
Lama for I'm going to try. Lama, you're live.
Yeah, good evening, my dear sisters in the house.
Hi, Lama. Good evening.
Good evening. As I'm watching this fine gentleman in the house, I know he will do well.
Okay.
But I want to ask you one question. Now, you see the type of policy the executive are bringing out. What policies that the masses are now being victimized? The masses are in pain. Now, what will you do as a legislator? Because here, if I am talking in other sister stations, I tell them that what is happening now is the spirit of Antichrist, end-time spirit, where leaders allow the spirit of Antichrist to enter them. They bring in policies that affect the masses. They themselves just feel it. As a legislator, what will you do when the executive go reckless? How will you
call
the executive recklessness when they bring policies that will affect masses? Look at what is happening in the banking sector. I tell people this is exactly what I call antichrist spirit that has entered from leaders that make them to bring out policies that affect the masses, and they are not feeling it, the pains of the masses. What will you do?
Olumide, so everybody's asking you because I mean, it's nice to have freshness, like I said, on the ballot. But again, I don't want us to be seen that because we want to support our own with our young people, we're supporting mediocrity or we're supporting people that are not prepared for the job, right? You have what do you call them? There's a historical candidate that, first of all, he was in your industry, that is now that everybody is not particularly happy because I think they feel like he wasn't prepared for that job. He didn't know the job. It's different from going on camera and live camera action. No, these are real life issues. These are like you're bringing up laws that would protect us, especially your constituency in Surulere, right? So I mean, we would like to hear, because I mean, if you say you're running, you're going to the House of Assembly, you should have said, okay, I have proposed like 15 bills. Inside those 15 bills, I can just tell you maybe 2 or 3. Say, okay, these are the ones that I know that are pressing in Surulere constituency. Those are the kind of level of preparedness that we are looking forward to having, right? So I mean, when you hear the callers asking, it's almost like they're repeating the same question. What exactly are your policies that you have penned down to say these are the policies I intend to propose when or if elected in the House?
For me, one of the things as well is also the execution of policies that are already in place, which is why, for me, it is the transparency and the style of government that we need to first address. If you are more on ground in your constituency and your constituents have access to you, then there's more conversation, there's more dialogue, and you, at that point, are more in touch with what they need. So that also does help in formulating policies gearing up into the House. Also, there have been certain policies that should have brought about some sort of change. But the problem is how these policies are then executed and the fact that nobody is being held accountable in terms of delivery. So you say, for example, okay, we're going to pass this bill, and this bill, it took us, say, 6 months to pass, but expected period of execution is 8 months. And after a year and a half, whatever projects that were supposed to be put in place, or whatever partnerships were supposed to be built, or roads supposed to be constructed, and contracts are supposed to be giving out, either have been given out and haven't been supervised or monitored, or we just don't hear about these things anymore. So it's not necessarily about formulating a whole new set of laws.
They are existing.
They are existing.
Well, that's a major problem there are existing policies that have not been properly implemented. The ones that have not been properly, there are some that have not been implemented at all. Then the ones that have been implemented, right? Yes, they've been under implemented. So I get you. I mean, it's a valid point. So I mean, it's nice to hear the sincerity. Because again, sometimes people feel like, oh, if I come and I bring 7-fold
are-
agenda,
yeah,
20-fold
yeah,
agenda,
yeah,
you know, to take me seriously.
Yeah.
But what you said is actually deep. Because truly, we do have some very nice policies on paper. Where are the signs that these policies have been translated into reality? Yeah, NJ, you wanted to go?
Oh yeah. Well, I was initially just asking about your background, just
Right.
going a bit back, and asking why you decided to transition into, politics, and what I guess one of my questions was your immediate plan for, the constituency one.
Yeah.
Two-layer one.
Yeah.
That's
I'm not. Two-layer one is.
Stadium Baja, Ojolegba, Yaba.
That's a major.
That's
That's a major area.
That's not my constituency.
Right.
Why the transition?
So the transition, again, came from realizing the opportunity that has presented itself. If we're being honest, before now, regardless of the number of registered parties, Nigeria has been practicing a two-party system.
True.
And none of the parties have really appealed to me personally, because we are in the situation where we are in, where we have tried out both parties with their manifestos and with their ideologies, and we still spiraled to this point. So I personally did not believe in what any of these two parties stand for. But then with Peter Obi switching to the Labour Party, he's somebody who, just from a natural standpoint, is very relatable. And there is a sincerity in his tone when he speaks. He doesn't try to present any grand ideas or sell, this is my opinion anyway, sell any major dreams of, oh yeah, elect me and, in 2 years' time, everything is going to be sorted, there'll be flying cars and whatnot. Basically, what he said that appealed to me the most is, there's a problem, we cannot fix this problem overnight, but we need to get on the path towards the problem being fixed. And that is what appealed to me the most. And that really is the entire reason why I did join the Labour Party. And upon joining the Labour Party, there was an environment conducive enough to encourage participation to run. So I'm like, okay, this is a good opportunity. Let's see how this goes. And the fact that the party even trusted somebody like me with my background to even be given the ticket to represent the party at this level is an amazing honor that I feel very blessed to have, and also very optimistic that the youth can do something towards national development. Because you look back at Nigerian history, and the people that were making decisions that have affected the entire country were close to my age, late 20s, early to mid 30s.
So that's why we're afraid of you now. That's why we're afraid.
It's again, we're human, and it's okay to make mistakes as long as you don't make the same mistakes multiple times, and you do own up when you make these mistakes. There have been a lot of mistakes in the Nigerian political scene that people have not owned up to or apologized for and attempted to learn and move on. I think that is the problem. So it's just changing what it means to be a politician, really. Demystifying all the bravado around the office and all of that. Just, houseboy.
So do you think that you have done your part in being visible enough to the people in your constituency that they recognize you and will be willing to vote for you?
To a certain extent. Also because I did announce candidacy a little late because of some back end things that just needed to be sorted out.
I was going to say that.
There was some cases with candidacy, and we were in court for a while. And just because of what I had going on, I honestly wanted to be sure that everybody was on the same page before announcing, and then having to go back and forth and explain what was going on. So that process took a lot longer than I was hoping for. Being said, I do believe that I have done enough to put myself out there in terms of what I'm made up of and where my head is at, and the plans that I have, the hopes and dreams that I have. So if the people buy into that idea and they think that I am fit to be their representative at the House of Assembly, I'd be more than honored to do my best to make sure nobody's let down.
I will not know the last of this one if I don't ask you. And this was from one of our audience when she heard, one of our co-anchors, when she heard that you were the guest for tomorrow, she said, please, go and ask him. So let me ask you. So she looked through your social media, because we're in the age of impressions, right?
Yeah.
And she looked through your social media and she felt like, for somebody that is running for this kind of delicate position where you're going to be reviewing policies, the issues around people, your social media handle doesn't tell that, okay, this is what this person stands for.
Yes.
So for instance, you go on Mr. Macaroni's page, you see that he stands for this, you go on Fowls's page, you see that. So that it would be easier,
of course,
if Mr. Macaroni or Fowls came out to say they wanted
for
like
this.
Who is Olumide? What is he passionate about?
Of course.
Who has he, what kind of impact has he left? What kind of prints has he left in the
in his local community?
The kind of impact that he's done that is giving him the credibility to say, okay, yes, he can actually handle the pressure, because that seat is hot.
Of course.
There's a lot of things that will happen in that Alausa. Of course. It's a lot of matter.
Of course.
So I mean, if you were speaking to Jennifer now, what would you say to her, right? Because again, it's social media.
Of course.
We have to see you and see you.
Of course. So the thing is, my approach to social media has been very passive. Up until this period, I never really paid attention to my social media. I didn't really care for it. I just use it to promote my work. But what I've been more concerned about is personal growth and personal development in terms of engaging with people in real time. So for people that know me personally, or in spaces where I've been opportune to meet more experienced people, I'm always asking questions, always trying to learn. Most times I sit in a room and I don't say much. I'm just taking things in, I'm absorbing things, really trying to understand how systems are made up, how does this work. Even when I'm on set, I'm asking, why is this light here? What lens is that? Why is this working? Just so I really understand how that is set up. Another thing is, I believe that we all have different roles to play in terms of development. Now, we already have people like, Fowls and Macaroni, who are my good friends, who we do discuss, things relating to politics in times when we do see, and they already have the social media front covered. I mean, people who are setting up NGOs, people who are really trying to help people set up small businesses. We have people who are trying to make an impact through different avenues. So we need to all be doing these things at the same time. We all can't be on social media. We all can't be in politics. So as long as the goal is understood, we can work in unison. If I make it into the house, I'm still going to have conversations with Fowls and Macaroni. If something is going sideways, they can reach me and be like, bro, when you were going in, this is what you said, this is what you said. They can hold me accountable. And that's what we do as young people. We are a lot more honest with each other. And we check each other a lot. If any of your boys are going left, you call, so we do that. So as long as we're all in agreement to what the end goal is, and we have as many people in different areas really trying to implement that goal, I think that really is what we need.
Okay, so we just want to plead that be putting small things on social media.
Yes.
Not just bitch and get red and we cannot see her face.
Okay, so this is good evening, my dear beautiful sisters of What Are You Saying? #Ways. Race to the Lagos House of Assembly. Not too much talk. I believe wholeheartedly that Labour Party is determined to do well and will do well. I pray that my dear brother Olumide Oworu will be voted for and also win, because I can really see his zeal and determination to deliver. I pray this time there is no rigging. I'm so glad and excited to see this handsome gentleman in the studio. I happen to be his fan. I like the role he plays in the Johnson's Tari Johnson. I want to ask him that how can he cope with politics and acting? My name is Daniel Elo.
Quickly, good evening, my beautiful sisters of Ways. It's great to see your guest dressed as a Lagosian. His dedication in his Johnson's role gives me the light that he would deliver in the capacity of his political
So quickly,
ambition.
how do you want to manage? Will something suffer for it?
The priority right now is political office.
Okay.
That is the immediate thing I'm going to immerse myself in. So as we go on, if I am elected into office, we'll figure it out. But right now,
I think my husband is a fan, by the way.
I have something I want to
Yes,
Yes,
please.
quickly.
Okay, so this is me having my eyes on you as a Surulere constituent.
Yes.
You do not get to move out of Surulere.
Yes.
While you're in that seat.
Not move to VI.
No, I will personally check that you are still in Surulere.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's the whole point.
Yeah.
I need to be on
Because
my
if
toes.
I catch you in Lekki or VI, I will lock your house.
I will put it on social media.
We'll send you back to Surulere. But thank you so much.
Thank you so
You
much
did
for having me.
amazing.
Yeah.
Now before we go, thank you, ladies. Ensure you follow us across all our social media handles at PlusTvAfrica. You can interact with us further. Drop a comment, and more importantly, follow all our engagements on social media. Like, share, invite your families and friends to watch, and follow the conversation. Now, if you missed our very important quote, here it is again. We cannot be mere consumers of good governance. We must be participants. We must be co-creators. You have to be part of the process, okay? There are great people stepping up to the plate, so join. I will see you guys tomorrow at 8 p.m. It's International Women's Day tomorrow. So bring another great conversation to your screen. Have another interesting guest, so you stay with us. We'll see you tomorrow.
Your treacherous body would have been manure for the motherland. Listen to the words of a corpse. You cannot win this war.
My production career started off practically by some form of divine intervention. I work in TV production, and I've done that in advertising for over 20 years. I do storytelling as well. I do narrative. I've done films, TV series, etc. I taught myself to draw. And that meant 4 hours of sketching every day, minutely competent, where people will say, this doesn't suck. You actually have to practice.
For God's sakes, Emeka, we don't even have enough guns or food. What were you thinking?
If you and Uzogu had not unleashed your unique brand of madness last January, we wouldn't be swimming in Biafran blood. It was a revolution!
I was one of my uncles, and he got me a job in, then it was Vanguard newspapers in Apapa. And I got to meet all my heroes because in those days, I knew every cartoonist of every Nigerian publication by name because I would always look for the signature. Advertising was obviously the way to go. English then, if you're doing English, you're either going to be a teacher or something. I was like, no, this is a cool industry. This industry is really cool. It's really being paid to be creative. I was sent around the agency to learn every aspect of advertising. And when I got to TV production, the then head of TV production of SO and U, then Mr. Greg Odutayo, said to me, okay, I want him. So he just made a request. There are many highlights. I've won awards for films I've made, TV series I've done. But let me just jump forward. The most recent thing I've done I'm extremely proud of is being one of the 3 directors on MTV Sugar, Niger. Then you have to learn. So when I came into production, I was always asking questions. So I was on a quest to know why this visual image was better than this visual image. And that got me into studying and learning about production. It helps to be always focused on what will make you win. It's a very healthy sense of motivating yourself to always get things right. Make sure your work is up to standard. It resembles anything else across any other platform across the world. The second thing is it must have your identity. It must have your strong cultural identity.
My name is Titi Adeose. I'm one of the 3 female co-founders of Naija Kids, an edtech company that develops digital content for children. So what we basically do is we provide content. You know, with COVID and everybody going online, that's really where there's a major gap. And so we bridge that gap by providing fun learning digital content that makes online learning completely effortless and a lot of fun. So this started in 2018. So in 2018, if I take a step back, I'd been saying I wanted to do something for children because my son, my younger son, is a typical digital native. He doesn't like learning. Do you understand? We're always battling, you know, fighting with the laptop. That's all he wants to do. So one day someone said that if that's how he learns, why not provide him content, you know, for that? And I said, wow, okay, that's actually a good thing. So I now started developing content for him to be able to use on the device. And when more people were interested, that's really how Naija Kids came about. So we provide digital content. We take any subject, any topic, and just transform it into something that is fun, that children will want to learn. So now my son is the one that's always telling me, Mommy, have you done a game on fractions? Have you done a game on decimals? You know, when I say go and do your book, say, okay, can I play a Naija Kids game instead? So for him, that's, you know, meanwhile, this is someone that before I'm always battling with. I say, go and read your book. When I say go and read your book, he's coming. I'm going to drink water. Oh, I'm coming. I'm going to the restroom. Oh, I'm coming. You know, and then 2 hours have passed. We haven't done anything. But now, you know, playing something that he likes on a device that he likes was just, you're just excellent. And that's really what brought about Naija Kids. I studied engineering, so not even electrical, you know, and computer. I actually studied mechanical, but my other partners studied computer science and computer engineering. So 3 of us came together. But I'd been an educator because I actually volunteer in church. So I've been passionate about education. I didn't know that I was going to end up here, but it's something I've always been passionate about. And the part that I'm passionate about is creating content that is fun. So I always say, how can I teach this topic in a fun way? I'm always saying, okay, let me create a puzzle. I go online, look for a puzzle maker and create a puzzle out of it. I say, okay, you know what? Maybe this is how I'm going to do it. I'm always looking for the fun angle to teaching the same subject. I don't want to bring it same old, stand in front and just, you know, that kind of thing. Mine is, let's make it fun. Because I think about when I was young, you know, what are the things that made learning fun for me? What are the things I still remember now? The truth is that the things I still remember now are all the things I did for fun. You know, I tell people that, you know, when you think of the Monopoly game and the streets of London, you only remember them because of the Monopoly game, not because someone taught you. So my idea is fun learning that makes it effortless, learning that makes children want to learn and they want to excel. And so when my son is now doing very well in school, he's like, yes, this is the secret, you know. This is the secret. I'm not a genius. That's what he thinks now. Look about how you learned this, you know, various countries, rivers in Africa. If I tell you, remember the rivers in Africa, I'm sure you remember them because we had this fun song. There are 7 rivers in Africa, 7 rivers in Africa. Oh, now, Niger, Senegal. You know, so those are the things that we remember. Anything that our teacher taught us that was really fun. Years later, if someone asks you, you're just amazed at how much you remember it. And then with technology now, it helps us transform those fun elements, all those gaming elements. And that's really what games do. They transform the gaming element, scoring points, climbing levels. Do you understand? Dressing up, getting things for your avatar. They're all fun things that we associate with the things that we are learning. The fact that I'm doing coins, I'm doing it against, you know, playing against my mates. They're all competitions that we already do in the classroom. So the things that we already do physically, the only difference we've done is that we've made them digital. We provided them as digital content. Even me as a parent, marking my son's worksheets can be tiring. But when he's playing a game and it's a digital content, the answers are already marked. So it's stressless for me. So it's a two-way thing. I'm happy, he's happy, and we're all happy. Before I started, you know, Naija Kids with my 2 partners, what I'd done is I was working in a consulting firm. So I worked in KPMG for over a decade, risen up to the role of senior manager, and then I left and then joined a colleague that set up a fast food restaurant. So that was really my first step into the entrepreneur journey, being an entrepreneur. Before then, I'd been in corporate, but all that while I'd done things in education. So not only that, I sit on the board of an NGO that provides free education to children in poor communities. So I'm passionate about education. So it was just a lot of my loves coming together. My passion for fun, learning. My passion for creating things. Creating content. I did that from my consulting background, creating content, and then I just added the education, the games, the gaming elements, and all those loves just came together to then form what currently is Naija Kids. So what happens is that we have it on the App Store. So we have it online, we have it on the App Store. So you can download the app and then go subscribe to play the games. Select your child's age. The games are not only on academics, because when it comes to development, I believe in development of the total child. So I'm a proud Nigerian. People say, oh, Naija Kids. I say, yes, I'm Naija, proudly so. So I'm always promoting things about Nigeria. So we have games that promote things about Nigeria's culture, Nigeria's food. Apart from Nigeria, I'm also about people being successful. When I look at my career, I'm saying that we need to raise up the next generation of successful people. So financial literacy is key for me. I want my children to know how to spend money. I want to retire early. That kind of thing. So financial literacy is also another thing. So we bring all that together that makes the child complete. And then lastly, values. So we're also looking at values of honesty, of integrity, of hard work. So we bring all those elements, not just the maths, the English and the science. No, it's everything together. So it's really on the App Store. So either you do it on Android or you do it on iOS, which is on the Apple Store. So you download the app, you sign up, and then your children can play any of those games. The initial idea was really not about making money, but of course, when you go into a business, then you have to make money to pay your bills. So that was really the plan. So we sat down, we had this wonderful plan. Then we now started meeting the obstacles. What were the obstacles? The obstacle was internet is expensive. A lot of people don't want to do a lot of things online. So we now have to say, we have to develop an offline version of it. Then apart from that, then people don't have devices. Devices are expensive. So maybe, okay, how do we do it so that it's both on the mobile devices can also be online? So that was it. It was challenging. So we went to market schools, and schools were like, oh, they don't have the infrastructure for it. It was challenging. Education technology was challenging. Honestly, it was a very slow grind. I think the luck that we have is that because there are 3 partners, when one person is discouraged, the other person comes up and peps up. So it was hard at the beginning. So we had to start balancing with a lot of things. A lot of people wanted things they could take away because they don't have to. We then created an activity book version of our game, something that is hard copy. So that also helped them bring you. In business, you have to pivot, innovate. And then guess what happened? COVID happened. COVID happened, and then suddenly all the schools that were like, no, there's a physical classroom. So they didn't need technology. Technology wasn't a mandatory thing to have. Then COVID happened. And then all the talk about technology just changed. The landscape suddenly became enabling. What's so interesting? In 2020, when I started the year, when I was praying to God, I said, God, I was thinking that it was going to be a government policy that would come and create the enabling environment. I didn't know that Almighty God was going to just open the heavens, so to speak. And then that's what happened. So 2020 honestly was our best year. 2018 was like a year of struggle. I remember months that we look at the revenue and nothing has come in. We look at the revenue, we pay our staff, and we'll be the last people to be paid, and we're like, how do we hustle together? So it was tough in the beginning. There were a lot of those obstacles. Even getting parents to say there has to be fun in learning. Say, no, let him go and read this book. Each one is playing games. No. The computer is a distraction. It's a distraction. So when I see all of us now, our kids are constantly on devices, I'm amused, because in 2018 no parent was really about that. But 2020 opened up a whole new world, a whole world of a lot of collaborations, and so we have so many collaborations of people that want to now have the games in their classes, have the games on their various platforms. We've had a number of corporates that we partnered with in 2020. So 2020 was an awesome year, and we came into 2021 all excited and of the various things that will happen. years pandemic, but I'm happy that technology is now, a front burner. We have been saying that, honestly. I tell people that when you look at all the jobs now, technology is such a key part. So you shouldn't bring up children without technology. And it can do so many things. Now, in the last, 6 to 9 months, the schools have implemented all sorts of technology, apps, learning management system, and they can see the difference. Of course, there's also the other side to it. But they can see the difference in terms of the learning. We had a library before in the school, but now with the digital library, they have access to thousands of books that you don't even have in your physical library. So technology opens, it removes all the restrictions. It has its own challenges, but it removes these restrictions. I think one of the things was about keeping an eye on the financials. So because I'd come from a consulting, auditing firm, even as the entrepreneur that I was with, my ex-boss, we were always looking at the money. So we're looking at the income, we're looking at the expenses. How are we going to pay the next bill? How is the money coming in? What products are making money? What are not? How do you cut off? I think that was really the most important thing that I took away from that you have to keep an eye on the money. I now tell every entrepreneur that you have to have these financial skills. If you don't know about money and you don't have one of your partners that do, it's going to be a major issue for you. So you need to know about the money. What's coming in? How is it coming in? What are you spending money on? Do you have money, what we call runway? Do you have money for the next 1, 2, 3 months? What if this doesn't work out? How do you keep the books? How are you funding it? It's so important you have that financial literacy. I think the second thing is about building structure. One of the things I've learned, is you have to have a structure for everything. Try and standardize everything. We have team meetings, we have templates for everything. We're having the team meetings, we're having even offer letters. A lot of those structures from corporate was what I brought. So when people see me, they're like, "You are so organized." I'm like, yes, that's the background that I have in terms of managing things, ensuring there's a structure to everything, plan it, schedule it, time it, documents, even in setting up our own system and even moving remotely, and it was easier for us because we had done a lot of those things. We had meetings that we could have virtually. One person is not around and the person calls in on Zoom. So those are things we're already doing. We already had a way of communicating. We had our emails. We had things on the cloud. So a lot of those structures that we had made it easier to move, to remote learning. So that's one of the things that I took back. You have to have structure in your business. You have to keep upskilling your staff because you can't be everywhere. As you become the face of your business, it means that you're doing a lot more things than the actual operations. So when you're attending interviews, when you're going for all the marketing, you're not there in the operation. So you need to build that operation into a lot of documentation. We take time to document the process so that whoever is there knows what they need to do. And then we're always seeing what skills the staff need, how do we train them, how do we help them improve. So those are, I would say, 3 key things that help, and then just make it easier when you hit it big. Or when you're in the process of hitting it big. But I tell people that whatever you want to do, just start. Don't think about the money. Just start. In hindsight, I converted a little store in my house to my office. So I brought out everything from the store, cleaned it up, put 2 tables and put 2 chairs, and that's where we started. Till you get to a place where you're going to pay rent. So I'll say start with what you have. Look for your first customers. I'm wiser now in terms of the next products we do. I'm already looking for who is going to buy it even before I fully produce it. So I'm like, okay, this is our next idea. But I'm saying, let me go and talk to this corporate. Let me go and talk. So it meant that in terms of money, that's really not your major hindrance, is to plan to have a goal. Start with your family and friends. The first people that I sold anything to were my family and friends. I still do it now. I write a list of 50 people that are my family and friends, and I'll start sending them SMS messages. I said, are you interested in this? Once you have that interest, then you already know the people. And I said, okay, can you prepare for it? Can you prepare for it? So that means I already have the money for it. Keep your expenses low. So when you do that, where you're not, going large, you're always looking for what's the cost-effective way of doing this thing. In the beginning, people can go and order people to come and do the videos. In the beginning, you do the videos on yourself. You get your husband or your son, so hold the camera. Mommy wants to do a marketing video. So my advice to people is that don't think about the money. Think about the idea. Look for the first group of people that you sell it to. Ask them if they trust you enough to pre-market, to pre-order. So you have some of the initial money, and you know that, okay, worst comes to the worst, I have the people that will help me break even if I don't make a profit. I think keep good records. You need to keep good records. Separate your personal money. So you know everything that is coming in and everything that is going out, and see that it's balanced. But I would tell people, just start. Don't think It's not the money. If you say you want to start a salon, don't start with go rent a salon. No. Go and say 7 people that I'll be making their hair for. Who are these 7 people? Let me start to them. So I'll come to your house, don't worry. Hey, madam, you need to buy the attachment. Send me the money. So that way you don't really have any cost. The only cost is the transport, which will be catered for by the person that makes, that pays you. So I say money is not an issue for any idea that you want to do. It's just start. It will not be perfect, but just start. When you start as an entrepreneur, you don't have all the skills. So you have for the core thing, but you don't have all the things. So you start collaborations from. I remember that in the beginning, I'll call a friend of mine who's working in a company. I said, you want to do some PP? Okay, you help me with the graphics, So I'm saying collaborations can be something as simple as that in terms of when you don't have everything, who are the people that you can work with? And then the collaborations that we now do are other education technology companies that already have the market, but they don't have the gaming element. So recently we partnered with Gradely. Gradely is another ed company, but they prepare videos, learning videos for children. So we provide the games. We've partnered with Edvis. Edvis also provides a school management system. And we say, okay, can our games be on your platform? We keep partnering with various people that we say, okay, these people already have a platform, they already have a market, but they don't have what we have. Can we partner with them? Currently, we're partnering with Glow to have our games on, and we went live this week to have our games, on there. So we keep on looking for those partnerships. Sometimes the partnerships are not even that we are having our games on. So sometimes partnerships are, can you just garner the visibility? Our main clients are parents that have children within the ages of 3 to 13. When we first started, we were looking at parents that had the ages of primary school, so between 6 and 10. But as you have more demand, that people come and say, oh, I have a 3-year-old, so we went down to people that are in nursery school. And someone says, oh, but my child is in GSS 1, GSS 2, do you have something? Then now we've gone up to, junior secondary school. So it's really driven by the demand. And that's one of the things that we need to be careful about. When we first started, it was driven by my passion, what my son likes. But I had to sit back, get the feedback of saying, okay, I like this, but not everybody likes this. So I think one of the things that's important is that you're always evaluating who are your target market and what do they want. So a number of things that are driven by what their demand is. So when we started with some of the games. People say, what about in maths, in science, in values? We have the ones that we are passionate about. We also have the ones that are being driven by the customer. So increasingly get feedback from customers, and that's so important in your business. Your business is not for you. It's something that you need to always remember. It's for your target market, and what are they saying? What are their demands? So even concerning the games, when I look at where we started to where we are now, people will say, okay, the games are too heavy to load, so that means I need to shed some of the excessive graphics that I've put in there. So your customers are key. So we started with parents, and now we've moved to corporates. A lot of corporates, especially during this COVID period, saw, there was suddenly children could not go to school. They wanted to give back. They wanted to give back in providing, like a stopgap. And that opened up a new well of partnership with both, corporate organizations and NGOs. The Nigeria element is that making the learning have local context. If my child is doing an exam and they ask him, choose the odd one out, and orchard is there, you most likely would not know what it is, because the examples are made from people that those examples were relevant to that context. So that's where the Nigeria is, that we are teaching Nigerian child, even though we are now moving to Africa, but we are teaching the child, let's use the examples that are local. So when I'm going to give an example in maths, or when I'm going to give an example in science or in English, I'm going to first of all ensure that that example is relevant, that the child understands what it means without too much of an effort. I think the other part of it is that I just want us to be proud of who we are. Countries are not perfect, to be honest. When you think about them, they're not perfect, but they promote themselves. They promote the good part of it. I told someone that I remember the first time that I went to Dubai, I was amazed that Dubai had a place that looked like Adeniji Adeli inside Lagos Island. Because when they're promoting it, they don't go about promoting all the bad parts of it. And that's really what I wanted to do as well. I wanted to promote to the next generation the good things about Nigeria. It's not all bad news. So we have this game called Who Wants to Be a Brainiac? And I will ask you, who is the richest man in Africa? And I noticed a lot of other countries do. They promote, that's why there's the American dream. So for us, it's promoting things that are Nigerian. We also want the values. When we look at Nigeria today, I'm saying, what are the things that can help us change? It's also our value system. Let a child be ethical. Let a child want to be responsible. Let a child understand the relevant values for building our nation building, because this is where we, so to speak, have our bread and butter, and so we need to build up. So I think that those are all the Niger elements to the Niger kid. We need to build our country. I'm into nation building. I might not go out and wave a flag and join the riot, but I'm saying I can put those values and that patriotism in the next generation through all that we do. So they see things all around them that denotes their country and they're proud of it.
Teaching online takes creativity. Online environments can be challenging to master at first, but with a little effort and time, your students will be getting the best experience possible. With the home environment being surrounded by potential distractions, keeping students engaged, motivated, and interested in their lessons can be one of the biggest challenges online teachers face. Teaching online requires you to use completely different skill sets compared to those used in teaching in person, and it's also important to keep the process as fun as possible. The following are some tips that will guide you in making learning fun for children through digital content. 1. Present your best online self. If your students can see you via a webcam, make sure that not only do you look presentable, but the location that you're in does too. A simple background works best to eliminate any distractions. Also, your visual materials must be top-notch. Make sure your slides look clean and clear, and any videos you use are of good quality. Try changing the tone of your voice to introduce new activities or mix up the tempo of your class. Practice your storytelling skills and offer praise out loud. This can make a huge difference in encouraging your students. Also make sure that any audio clips you plan to use are of good quality. Number 2, use technology to your advantage. Teaching online comes with its challenges, but it also puts a whole load of really cool tools at your fingertips. Whether you use whiteboards, pointers, virtual games, text editors, drawing tools, file editors, breakout rooms, or screen sharing tools, you can use the technology you have to add variety to your lessons and keep students on their toes. Number 3, find what inspires your students. The good news is, just like in any face-to-face classroom, the real key to getting your online students involved is to find out what inspires them and give them reason to be engaged in the classroom. Number 4, keep it interactive. In a face-to-face class, it's typical to give students some quiet reflection time to work alone or read a text. But these kinds of activities don't translate well in online classrooms. Planning activities that keep your students actively clicking, typing, or talking throughout the lesson is the way to go. You can do this by asking lots of questions, including games, and making sure learners have to physically do things like use drawing tools or type in the dialog boxes. Number 5, break down the lesson. It's a good idea to keep a fast pace and break down information into small, easily digestible chunks. This means to steer clear of lengthy explanations and slides with too much text.
That thing of the grass is always greener on the other side. I have a lot of people that have relocated, that's jackpot, so to speak. But they tell you the truth. They tell you how hard it is. They tell you the fact that yes, they will never be looked on for the promotion because they are black skinned. They have the passport. But in the end, when we go to our offices, it's not you don't actually bring out your passport, let me know what country you're from. It's your skin color that immediately tells you where you're from, so to speak. So it means that the grass greener on the other side, it's grass greener on the other side with commas. Meanwhile, I know people here in Nigeria that have done awesome things. I know people that have a lot of, grass to riches stories that have made it in this country. So for me, I'm like, we can make it here. It's tough. Yes, it's tough, but it's not easy anywhere else. It's not easy anywhere else. It's tough everywhere else. But people that make it against the odds. I mean, look at the story of Tyler Perry. He's in the same great American, but when you listen to his story, it's a story of against the odds. So Nigeria too is a story of against the odds, to be honest. But are people making it? Yes, people are making it. We have outliers. We have the outliers of the likes of Dangote, but we have other people that started. Look at the banks. When I was growing up, it was only First Bank and Union Bank. Then a new generation of people came and built banks. Look at telecoms. When I started work, I was so junior, I didn't have a mobile phone. Even when mobile phones came out, because it was 30K. But look at it now. So people are building things in Nigeria, making a difference, building the economy. All sector is now not the only major thing. Financial sector is reigning, telecoms is reigning, because people stayed here to build. And that's what I believe, that if each of us take our own corner and build, then there's hope for this country. If we all run away, then, but this is the place where we are home. This is the place where we are first-class citizens all the time. This is where your money matters when you've arrived. Do you understand? With no comma. So let's stay and build it. I believe that if we stay, we build it, it will be a Nigeria that we're proud of. Like I said, when you start, it's tough. You need to start and say, what do I need? The things I don't need money for. So like I said, when I started, there was the one storage in our house that I sorted out all the stuff, through all the things, just got 2 tables and chairs and started that way because I didn't want to pay rent. So even when I started renting, so this place that I rented the first year, because we actually live in the front part of our house, so my office is at the back. The first year I told my husband, I'm not going to pay you no rent. So what's my business? I said, no, he's lost income. I said, that's your business. Your investment in it. So that was, but I said I wanted to be an ethical business. I want to do everything right. So I found a list of all the things I need to do. I found out about, payee. I have to pay, you have to pay your taxes. So I said, okay, how do, in terms of taxes, I have to do pension.